The Florida Gators could get some good news very soon in the 2024 recruiting class, as that cycle isn't done just yet. And there are a couple of very interesting developments that have happened recently. Two prospects that UF was very involved with have recently left the programs that they signed with in December. And there is a pretty good bit of confidence that UF could land both of them. We're going to talk about that more in just a minute. But Jamar Grimsley, 4-star defensive back out of Tampa, actually out of Tampa Catholic, my alma mater, has entered the portal. And Deonte Robinson, 4-star defensive lineman that signed with Texas, has been released from his national letter of intent. There are some questions around why Grimsley wasn't released from his national letter of intent and had to enter the transfer portal. I did see some speculation that it could be because he was enrolled and was on campus, but either way, both of those guys are available now. The commonality between both of their recruitments is that UF finished second for both of these guys. And, think back to Deonte Robinson. We felt pretty darn confident that he was going to be a Gator. All of the inside sources at the university were convinced he was going to pick up that orange and blue hat. We were all set to go thinking Robinson was going to be a Gator. So I don't know what happened in that 11th hour with Texas, but he ended up picking Texas at the very last minute. And when I'm telling y'all very last minute, I mean really very last minute. UF came in second here. Jamar Grimsley, Tampa guy, local kid, grew up, likes the Gators a lot. But when he signed, the thing that he said was, I signed with Alabama over Florida because I know Nick Saban's not going anywhere. Well, fast forward only a month, and Alabama was looking for a new coach, so Grimsley wanted out of Tuscaloosa, and UF finished second for a Florida kid, right? So here we are. Now we get to re-recruit him all over again. It is said that Grimsley is between LSU and UF. There's been lots of speculation. It appears he's not going to take an official visit before deciding that he's just kind of going to decide. We'll see if that stays true or not. And remember, when Florida was recruiting him, Corey Raymond was their defensive backs coach. He is now the DB's coach at LSU. So we're going to get to see, was he interested in Florida, the program? Was he interested in Corey Raymond, the coach? All of those things will come into play here, but I do know that UF feels fairly confident that they could land Grimsley. And, Robinson, it is projected that he will come to UF now. UF came in second for his recruitment. I don't know what happened, but it seems like he has a little bit of buyer's remorse and he wants to be a Gator now. So what does this do for UF? And here's the thing, guys. If both of these guys end up in our 2024 signing class, it's going to massively improve that class ranking. Florida could end up potentially as high as like 10th there, right? I don't know. If both came according to 247, I want to say that's like 13th, but that's also calculating that nobody else comes, right? And UF is hoping to add another high school kid or two to that class. I don't know the kind of undetermined factor here is how they would calculate Grimsley, because Grimsley had to enter the transfer portal as opposed to being released from his national letter of intent. I think that he actually gets added to the portal class and not the high school class. But guys, he would be the signing class of 2024. So however they calculate it, it is a major impact on that incoming class. But they're probably not going to impact us a lot on the field this year. The odds that true freshmen make massive impacts are generally small, right? Maybe you get a guy or two each year who really sees the field, does really well, men amongst boys kind of thing. But in general, you need a year or two to develop. But that's still great news for the future, right? It's still more weapons in Billy Napier's arsenal for 2025. And this is part of what Napier needs to do. He needs to stack talent. We've talked about this on this channel a lot. The programs that are successful, your perennial New Year's Six Bowl teams, your perennial playoff teams, are people that sign great classes back to back to back to back, stack that talent. And, another thing that I've talked about a lot on this channel is that relationships matter. In the era that we are in college football, the transfer portal era, relationships do matter. Coming in second matters. This is a situation where Florida did a good enough job to have a hat on the table. They weren't the initial hat picked, but here we are only a month after that first team was picked, and these players already are looking for a different situation. Florida kept it close all the way through, and now because of that relationship that was built, they are the team that potentially could benefit from both of these transfers. And, things change rapidly in the college football world that we are currently living in. And coaches leave. Promises are not always kept. Lots of NIL promises happen prior to these players getting on campus. Now, are those promises kept? That remains to be seen, right? But I do think that UF has done a really good job keeping their promises, keeping their word, building their relationships. And they obviously did a good enough job in both of these recruitments that they have given themselves a chance to go after Deonte Robinson and Jamar right now when they have decided to open things back up. So I do think that this would be massive for Billy Napier. Is it massive for 2024 on the field? Probably not, but it's still a huge win. It shows that what he's doing on the trail can be successful. It is very, very difficult to out-recruit your record. I still contend that what Billy Napier has managed to do this season recruiting-wise is impressive. I know that it's not the top 3 class that we thought that we were getting in mid-October, early November. But if Florida finishes with a top 15 signing class when they didn't make a bowl game, that is out recruiting your record. That is incredibly difficult to do, particularly in the NIL transfer portal era. And let's be real, if you're going to join a team that doesn't have a winning record, you're probably going to want more out of that team than you would necessarily want to play at a team that just played in the playoffs. Florida's managing all of that. And it looks like they could come out on top for 2 really valuable players in this upcoming class. That means Billy Napier is doing a really good job on the trail. Now what he needs is for 2024, put some things together on the field to continue this momentum. It is going to be easier and easier to recruit well when the wins start stacking up. I'm going to continue to monitor this situation closely, and as soon as we know more, I will definitely share it with you. So make sure that you're locked into the channel, you're subscribed, have those notifications on so that if any of these guys pop, you're one of the first ones to know about it. Thank you so much for tuning in, and as always, go Gators!